So I will just show you my way. I was supposed to be here like yesterday this morning in Odessa, but then 3 companies just refused to rent me a car in Krakow. So I was with Tom. Tom supports me. He took all the way with like 1,100 kilometers. It's 200 kilometers more for Tom. So we just took first train to the border, and then they said something like, Svetlana. So that was the first problem on our way. And then we met our friends from Lviv, from some Ruby meeting, right? And so we've been on Ukraine site like 8 p.m., more or less 8 p.m. So we just stayed in Lviv, and we rented a car in Lviv. So it was a long way. I was driving 9 hours yesterday. We took 2 hitchhikers, junior IT developers. And what else? Well, we arrived at 9 p.m. So then we had some troubles with reaching our host. And when we reached him finally, well, it was kind of, party place. Here is a guy playing some didgeridoo stuff. Here is Tom, I don't know what he's doing. Kind of fun, I understand it. But let's go with my talk. So I'm visiting a lot of conferences. It's just last year, and I have my own thoughts about them. For each of them, I will try to say something. But I would need you to be like more interactive, ask questions anytime, and if you don't understand something, if you're confused, then just tell me.
Just reach out to me and I'll explain this.
Yeah. So, what's the problem with Hype? It's just confusing us. We want to be better developers, and so we read a lot of articles, but you need to know there's a source of these articles, and a lot of other sources is just a mirror. Someone read it, and it's not like his own thoughts. He's just repeating. He says, okay, I will just say the same but with other words. And then everybody is saying something is cool, and if you will not question it, you will just follow the hype. And how it looks, it's usually like, let's say each year, each 2 years, it's like for some developers, for some teams, whole project is like messed up. And then what you do, you just let's just use this new technology. And then after a year or two, the situation is the same, because the problem is much deeper. It's like you just should understand what you did wrong, and you probably could be better with the same technology. But instead of learning on your mistakes, you just choose new technology and make these mistakes, which are in articles. Because there is a lot of mistakes. They are just saying, you do it this way, and then like bunch of teams have the same mistakes, so they knew that they should right now change the technology because previous one was wrong. So, how about race? Well, race are wrong, obviously, but in 2008 or I don't know, it was a time. It was good enough because it was complete. It has like everything you need to set your application. But the biggest advantage of Rails for me always was Ruby, not the framework. But I think this is how it looks like. At first, JavaScript in a browser, this is just simple chart. Nothing's hidden. So like let's say 2001, JavaScript was a joke. Like you could write some simple games in your browser, and you shouldn't use it in production. So if you wanted to be serious, you needed to write your whole application on the backend. You know, just to persist state, just to own your data, and even to render dynamically. It was not you were not doing JavaScript. You were just re-rendering whole site, and that's how we went with PHP and HTML, or even CG. It was how was it called? Perl stuff. So we are going like slowly to this direction, and everything went slowly to the front-end side. That's kind of natural tendency. So we are at the moment when the only thing we need on the backend is our data, just to own it. And we just send data and we can do everything in front-end. We can present it just in JavaScript technology. And that's all. It's like the only database should be on the backend. But I think this tendency is it goes farther, and not only me. Let's just go back to this full stack test Barcelona. So I can say about 2 talks on full stack. It was last September. So one of them was serverless JS technology. So the guy who invented serverless JS, he started like, you know, it's all marketing. It's easy, it's all marketing, it's not serverless. I was just kind of poor, I wanted to make money. So I checked the trends on Google. Some, you know, oh, here's how to call it. The serverless phrase is growing right now. So I call my framework serverless. So, seriously.
Once every time.
Yeah. So it's not serverless, but this natural convention to be like independent from the backend. It was already in 2016 because people were looking for that. They were figuring out it, and well, it's possible. It's not for business, but it's possible, and it's not for business yet. But you know, you want to own your data. You want to be in the middle. Then you can charge your clients. And if there is direct connection, oh yeah, it's fine for, let's say, taxi driver and a passenger, because there is no very in the middle. But if you write such application, you want to charge them somehow. But it's possible and it's natural to be like fully on front-end. I'm totally convinced it will be like this in 2 years. But anyway, this serverless JS stuff, he said like, now he's sponsored by Amazon. So let's imagine how Amazon servers work in a serverless way. Well, it's not business anymore for them. And they have this Lambda service, and it's kind of, how you describe it, it's kind of DevOps-less. Like you don't hire DevOps, you just deploy some code and it's maintained by the Amazon guys. But they call it serverless. And if we see like half year later, Code Motion on, this is the conference with the biggest players, IBM, Cisco, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, anyone. And while I was attending this conference, everyone was saying serverless. in this new manner, it's not like serverless, it's like DevOps, less kind of. But they were saying that, repeating it all the time, even if they were not talking about this subject, like this DevOps-less stuff. They were just, oh, and now it will be service. By the way, right? And then they will just continue. So that's the hype. That's the hype. They have interest. And going back to Rails, how they sold Rails to us. It's not sponsored, but it was also kind of a hype, because who knows what's Rails scaffold? Do you know it? How many people? Like everyone? Because yeah, so not everyone. So this is the main feature of Rails when they wanted to sell it to developers. So it's it's like kind of technology to generate blogs, so they can write blog in 15 minutes. I don't know how to call it, because it's not usable in business. Like, no one started application using scaffold. It just generates shitload of code, and then something happened on your side, and you can say, oh, I made it in 15 minutes. So that's how DHH sold the Race to the community, and everyone was excited. And Race was good at that time, like 2008, 2010, 12. But right now, let's see the RaceCon, the biggest conference of Race, and DHH keynote. You can watch on YouTube. It's about nothing, seriously. He has nothing to offer to us. He's just making some correlation with kind of religion. He's saying like, oh, religion works because people believe. So let's believe in race and use it, kind of this way. But yeah, that's it. It's nothing like, we would use modern technology. It's not that. So. Yeah, I can stay with full stack first. There was also one more presentation, and so I still code in CoffeeScript, and it's not popular at all. I have a lot of argument about this. Well, I don't care because it works, and it's the same as ECMAScript 7 or 6 or whatever. It's also a transpiler, but they told at the beginning. To the people which were like, oh, no, CoffeeScript is a transpiler, we'll just use the vanilla JS and write function brackets and something. This is, well, it will be native, kind of, in browser. And it doesn't make sense. CoffeeScript, by the way, it's inspired by Ruby, so I said the best thing in Race is Ruby. And it inspired a lot of languages, all of these kind of Ruby languages. So going back to CoffeeScript. Well, they said ECMAScript will be native, but it doesn't make sense because CoffeeScript was released just because of our standard JavaScript was not going fast enough, because it needs to become a standard and be in every browser to be a native, and it makes years to everyone to update. So if we want to be modern, we need a transpiler which will provide us fresh features. We want to like fresh syntax, not kind of C or Java, but kind of Ruby, let's say, if we like this syntax. And then we can program like how we like it. So I was kind of forecasting that at some point this native implementation will be also not enough modern, so you will need transpilers anyway. And on full stack first, the core of this ECMAScript team, which are bringing new features, he says openly, it will be transpiler forever. It will be, because they want to give you new features all the time. It will be transpiler. It is the same. So they invented a transpiler after, let's say, 8 years after CoffeeScript, and sold it to people who hate transpilers. Well, I will use CoffeeScript. I like it. It's efficient for me, and I don't care. You can use ECMAScript. You can use everything.
I use CoffeeScript as well.
Yeah. It must be more efficient if it's meant to be transpiled. Like, let's say we need to use semicolons to parse faster native environment. So the language which is meant to be native, you will have some uncomfortable syntax at some point because it needs to parse fast. So we can't do anything with that because it's meant to be native. So we will be more flexible with any transpiled language, and it's really cool to transpile. Well, who cares? It's the same at the end, and it works. And maybe about reactive conference and transpiling them because it's kind of connected. I tried 2 years ago on reactive conference to attend to Clojure workshop. Just, it was really fancy to do some functional programming, and even the most amazing thing about Clojure, what they say is like, you write your code in AST. Who of you knows what is AST? Yeah, a few. I will explain to you. So AST is is just a data. So if you have a programming language, each time you want to run it, it will transform to this data. It's just a tree. So it's a nested list. So it has a name of the method and arguments, and then your, let's say, interpreter will go through the data and, oh, I will run this method with this data, and it just processes through this data and execute your program. So they say, well, we spent all day getting to know this amazing technology, and at the end, well, we wrote hello world, and any kind of like really easy task was really hard to everyone. It wasn't like just me, like making a Fibonacci stuff, or no, it was really weird to write in it. And if you think like, well, we invented syntax for something. It's not like we want to write straight in AST. We don't want to write straight in 0, 1. Syntax is for us, like to use it and to have like nice connection, brain, code, AST, binary computer. It's really handy to have syntax, right? So I would not be proud, well, my language has just AST and it's my syntax. It's no syntax. They are lacking syntax. Even if they have some features, it's not a feature to not having syntax. So, Ruby Day. I was there on a workshop of Hanami. Maybe I will talk about it later. I don't know where I should put microservices. So it was also a kind of thing we should do at some point a few years ago on any kind of conference. So the thing is, to make microservices, it doesn't need to mean like we need to change anything in how we write our code. It's rather a way how it's executed. We can imagine like we do the standard Rails application, we have add, models, controllers, views. And for each controller, we use Rails S, and Rails S knows to start a separate service for each controller. And we didn't change nothing. We just have another class, another implementation of this controller below. It knows it's a server, kind of standalone. And then we have views, so we have microservice for rendering views. And then we have router. So I think at router, so we should start, let's say, HTTP server, which will connect with our other services. And and we write the code the same as we wrote. Well, so if we think it's a mess, well, we can improve it. But it's not like the only thing like the microservices should change anything about how we wrote our programs. It's just a totally separate thing. And if we just split it to a bunch of kind of hard to connect dots after splitting, well, it's kind of choice, but well, it shouldn't be dictated by doing microservices. And I can say this is good approach with microservices. Like just to not run a whole monolith application, it's just really efficient stuff. I made some prototype last year, and using Ruby MRI, I was able to do kind of low latency framework. So I can say even Ruby is not a problem. So if you want to go away from Ruby because it's slow, it doesn't make sense. We are just doing it wrong, like with this Rails monolith application. If you have Rails monolith application, it has everything. You have router. So router below is rack. Rack has 18 microservices. 18 how do you call it? Middlewares. Yeah. And then you have, let's say, controllers, active record, which is huge, JM, and then you have some code to render views, and then some code even to maybe you have also access to some code for assets, I don't know. It's a huge bunch of code, and if you run it all at once. And let's say the most demanding part, like it uses, it's the most slow part of your code is some controller. So you'd like to scale this controller, but then you will just set all the next instance of these views or the code, like the code which is efficient. You don't want to scale it at all. So that's why it's hard to scale arrays, because you scale everything. You copy and paste in your memory these instances, and it's really inefficient. So what I did in this prototype, I just used some WebSockets because I thought like HTTP sucks because it's slow, and they made HTTP too, so it's better. And I've tried to implement it with Race 5, but Race 5 is like they are inventing this kind of WebSockets, like just like 6 years too late, you know. There is a lot of Node.js frameworks which do efficiently on production WebSockets. So, well, I thought I will use this Node.js library, which I'm not writing Node.js, but it's really simple. It's just a server for Socket. And then whatever comes, whatever goes out, it's just communicating with my Ruby business logic, which is, like I said, standalone. It's one let's say, endpoint, another endpoint, another, and I can scale it independently. And it's really quick, like the Ruby part can go faster than 6,000 response per second. The problem was with the message bus, which was feeding the Ruby, so it's not the limit of Ruby, or I don't know, yeah. So that's one thing. If you will implement your stuff differently, Ruby is not a problem. And if you think it is, we've been, some of us were on a Ruby conference in Minsk, and there was a guy from a core of JRuby, and he was claiming they will be close to native. They have some technology, like they run Ruby as a kind of native Java stuff, like it's the same kind of efficiency. I don't know details, I don't like Java. For me, Ruby MRI is fast enough, you know. It's faster than anything you can find in web, but I will find limits of Ruby MRI, I will go for this. And this is also the answer, like there was a question about Elixir. Well, Elixir is just trying to have Ruby-like syntax, but it's just a totally different thing. And what's Erlang is a virtual machine on which you run real code. And the same is JRuby, like the Java machine. So you can have Ruby syntax, real Ruby, and have much more efficient virtual machine, which will be super fast. If you want to have something from Erlang, well, still, please, don't implement whole your application in Erlang. Why do you want to render your view in Erlang, let's say, or write some business logic in Erlang, which the best thing which does Erlang is making 2 million connections, right? At once. Well, let's just use it for that, if there is nothing better, of course. You don't need to switch like, Erlang, let's throw everything away, even if it's nice to use, and then use Erlang and it will help us to make better software. It will not, you don't know Erlang and Elixir. You will just make excuse, oh, I'm still learning, that's why it's crap. Yeah. Oh, let's say this Grill.js, it was a week ago, I think. So it says Grill.js, but all of the talks were React. So maybe React. There is the worst part of these talks was that they were, what I said at the beginning, they were just mirrors. I asked questions. They couldn't like explain, and some of them were like really like marketers. I would believe that like they were selling it really good old React Fiber, you know, it's kind of new technology. Oh, but how it is? It's faster, even faster than React, which is not fast. Well, no, faster is wrong word. It's rather more performant. Well, okay. Seriously. And so there are good parts about React, like they promoted the component approach, which you don't need to agree, but I like it. And there is a lot of post-React technology which use this, even the same syntax, but also component approach. It's really handy. But then they have virtual DOM, which is when they released React, they claimed, the reason why are we so fast is virtual DOM, and they were the slowest from Angular, Backbone, Ember. They were just claiming they are the fastest, and then like in weeks they appeared like better implementations of virtual DOM because people, why is it so fast? Let's investigate. Such crappy code. I will write this virtual DOM, but like efficiently. And there was a lot of libraries with virtual DOM. But the problem is what they are solving right now with this React Fiber. It's like it's super slow, so they are just making priorities. If this has higher priority, so if I can't render it on time with something with lower priority, I will just not render it and render this with higher priority. That's the React Fiber. It's just much more logic while rendering. It will be just slower, but it will render what and you will spend time to define, okay, this is important for me in my application. Just please render this part, please. Yeah. Just go beyond React. It has even in React architecture, it just doesn't make sense. Facebook application is not the single-page application you'd like to have. It's it's not a good example. They were making talks how they solve an issue. Here is one in messages, and I read this message already here in a chat. So that's why they implemented whole architecture. They call it Flux.
It still doesn't work.
Yeah, probably. They have they create a lot of issues which they will solve for you, and you will learn more and more technology because everyone is speaking about React, so I need to learn that. And I have this issue now, so they will solve it for you. Probably also, and you will be like learning, and it's really simple. I will not explain how simple it is, but I have no time. So you have some questions, maybe.
So, at your point of view, what are good hypes for last time? Any names now?
I was waiting all the time since 2000. Like you can build any kind of application with web technologies, and there's also a little bit bullshit in this progressive web apps. And I've seen it on this NPC also, but it's also I think it's an older term. So, for example, you use some meta tags to have your icon on your phone. So you are going to web application, you have notification. Do you want to install it? Yes. And then this kind of icon is on your kind of desktop, like the thing that you can touch on your screen. I don't know how to call it. This kind of panel. So it's there and it's behaving like a native one. You don't see difference. So you click it, and then you can have meta tag to define a splash screen. So it just feels like, okay, this is the logo, okay, this is the usual application. And then they have, I probably forgot about some of the, notifications. So you just have on phones like you swipe and then you have some recent notifications. So there is also, they are creating standards for that, and it will be available like to just write to web applications and, you don't see the difference. What's better in such approach? They see like a lot of people are not installing application. They just don't. So it's much faster. You just go to the web. You will see, okay, install, and what's the difference? So it's really cool. And it's, you know, if you have the iPhone team and some Android team and the web team, well, and if you have only web team, well, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I think it should be a future, but iPhone is fighting. The software is not using these standards because they have App Store and they would like to use App Store all the time, and it makes a lot of money.
Windows already crawls the web for the PWAs and adds them to their App Store, so they will be
So they from Windows App Store you will just find the same application which are just it's really cool. But they have, never mind. Yeah.
Can you do you have some research which will help to make out what new thing is really new and useful technology and what is just a hype?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's hard to say. For me, I'm just investigating. For example, with the code, I wrote code of Rails. I wrote code of many things I used because I wanted all the things to do something more than it offers. So I just I kind of injected it somehow. So then I just have a feeling how it works. Or even many times there was nothing like I wanted to do because let's say there is this meme on the internet. Days since last JavaScript framework was released, 0. And it's like they are complaining it's a lot of new technology. So we are IT guys, we need to learn constantly. We need to do new technology all the time. If we, well, like the opposite, like let's stay with what we have, like don't evolve, right? So just try to do more than you have. You have some library, and okay, but I would like to be better at some point. So read the code or implement it from scratch your stuff, and then you will see patterns, and you will say, oh, I implemented it another way, and it's kind of better. You know, you will see like if you will think how it should work, whatever the technology, you can think how it works, and then maybe this part is not necessary. You just take this part and then it's much more efficient because that's how architecture works. If you do the same thing with less, then that's better. So that's the thing I love about it. Yeah.
So on the one side, you said that it makes sense to delegate maybe more and more things to the front end, to capture all the data, etc. On the other side, you said that you don't like React because it's inefficient, etc. And it's much of a fact. So what I wanted to ask is, what approaches or frameworks or something do you like to use from that?
Do we have time for lighting talks afterwards?
Yes.
So I will show you some not known at all technology which will address you. Any more things? Yeah?
Can you give some your advice about Elixir and Phoenix? I heard the main advantages of this technology that it is faster than Rails, especially in WebSocket. And for me, I think the main advantage is it consumes less memory and consume also CPU power, multi-core.
Yeah.
So I think that Phoenix is future. So
well, it might be future. For, like I said, like I used Node.js, it's proof for WebSockets. You can use it for WebSockets, and it will be super efficient. But do you want to write everything in such manner? Even if I can write it faster, and it will be performant in what you know already. Well,
yes, you know, but newcomers will see an Elixir and React, and they write such application with WebSockets and React. Newcomers.
Can I ask you?
No, afterwards.
So I think when we know Rails and Ruby, so for us it's better to write in this technology. But
So like I said, Ruby can be fast. Even either you will use it with on JRuby or you just use it smarter by just knowing your architecture. So it's not the reason to switch to Elixir. I've tried. I made tutorials a year and a half ago. I was trying it, and I just don't feel it. So it's also maybe a taste. So there will be people using that efficiently, or maybe they will just be using it because of hype, and they will be confused all the time. So I can say the future is like polyglot. You use many technologies, just understand what you're doing, and use Elixir, and use also the other stuff. What was on the Ruby C? Also there were some maybe not benchmarks on the conference, but I met the guy who did the Crystal framework called somehow. I don't remember the name. Kemal, yeah. And Crystal is super performant. It's the fastest after C.
But without multi-threading.
No, and it also makes sense if you understand the architecture. It's
problem.
Well, the compiled language, which is mutable, will be faster than language which is designed to make threads. Because you need to allocate new memory for your immutable data. Even if you have faster CPU now, it's like the limit of physics. You can't sleep. If you will mutate at some clever way, let's say in some low-level list, something iterative, it will be quicker. So if you want to make some benchmarks, if you write application a proper way in Crystal, it will be faster. It's just physics.
It will be in the future.
It is probably, because benchmarks are already well, I know it. I was discussing with Yuri and his friend a month ago in Odessa. So someone said he saw the benchmarks and actually Crystal was faster.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like my knowledge. I talk with people and learn from them.
But so it's just benchmarks from the internet.
Yeah, well, like everything. Yeah.
I talked about multi-threading. It doesn't work actually. But multi-threading actually don't work in Crystal.
Yeah, maybe, but
Crystal is compiled language and compiled by LLVM, and it is compiled to binary code.
Yeah.
And it's reason because it's very fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's very fast, like Go, like C, like anything else.
Yeah. Well, I will not vote for Crystal. I didn't check it, but I see, like, just from the as a philosophy, it can be faster than this threaded stuff.
Okay.
It can be. I'm not saying it will work perfectly because it's still in development and I'm not using it. I'm just guessing. Fine.